and do what you can, but with the, with the knowledge that in this heat and in this sustained heat, it's likely that our capacity just might be lower than it is normally. And that's not a failure, it's just a reaction to this real heat that we're dealing with. So just take that into account as you move. And as always, it will be fairly gentle. We'll be very gentle tonight, very slow moving. But still, we're still moving and we're still present. So just taking what you need from tonight and leaving behind anything that you don't need. I'm never going to offend me if you say, Meg, no, I'm out. I'll see you later. So just come into a comfortable seat or lying down position. Remember that you can take this class lying down as much or as when you need to. If you want to close your eyes for a minute or two as we just settle in, please feel free. Or you might just keep them open, maybe take them to a point of focus somewhere around you. Maybe it's just out the window, or you settle your gaze on a picture or a plant. But try and let your the muscles around your eyes just soften a little bit, even if they're open. Before we do anything, just going to invite you to notice what you need to settle today a little bit. And it does feel difficult, I think, for us to settle in this heat, because finding a place of physical comfort is even more challenging. But is there anything that could help you with that today? Is there anything that you're needing or craving? Just having that moment to check in with yourself in body, but also up in mind as well, if that feels like something you want to check in with. Observing our breath in its more natural state before we do anything with it, just taking your attention to a little flow of breath, noticing if your breath has a subtle quality or if it's dramatic, big. Noticing its pace maybe. And then just for the next 60 seconds or so, just going to intentionally try and just draw that breath out a little bit longer and deeper. So just focusing on those two qualities, a little bit longer in length, and a little bit deeper if you can. And if you want to use that cooling breath technique that we've done a couple of weeks now, you can just bring your mouth into that little ooh shape, pursing the lips with just enough space between them to draw the breath in through the mouth. Or it's like you're doing a backwards whistle. And then breathing out through your nose if you can, but if not, you can breathe out through your mouth. And if you are going with that one, just feeling that sort of air as it comes into the mouth, potentially, hopefully feeling a little bit cooler as it comes into rests on the tongue. With each exhale, just letting your body get heavy and really soften into your chair or your bed, trying to let your body almost like melt downwards a little bit. So we're trying to remove or reduce the effort, the physical effort this evening. Aiming for softness and aiming for ease. If you want to, you can start to blink your eyes open. If you want to keep them closed in the class, even if it means you sort of have a little peek at what we're doing and then you close them back down again, that's cool. And we're just going to start nice and slow, starting at the shoulders. So we're going to, if we're sitting up, we're going to almost like we're doing a backstroke without our arms. We're going to just let one shoulder and then the other roll backwards. So imagine you were kind of backstroking. I can't backstroke very well, but just the shoulders. Now, if you're on your back and you're laying down, obviously this will be, it might be possible, potentially if you're on a nice soft surface like a mattress, you might be able to do that movement lying down.
Yeah, it's good.
Cool, amazing. So it's just like each shoulder is just gently and slowly rolling a little bit back. Now, if you're sitting up, you can let your spine turn a little bit as you roll one shoulder back. So you can see that my spine is doing a little turn. I'm just going to let in somebody. Hello, Carol. Not sure if she's landed in. There she is.
I was having trouble with links yesterday.
Oh, okay. Hi, Carol.
Internet is about as slow as I am today.
Oh, bless you.
Oops. Alexa, stop.
Nice to have you. We've literally only just started having a little move, so don't worry at all.
Lovely, thank you.
No worries. So we're just allowing one shoulder and then the other to have a little roll backwards. Sort of bringing one shoulder up towards the ear and then dropping it down and back. And if you're sitting up, then there might just be a little turn in your spine as you roll each shoulder back. You can let that come in a little bit. So your chest almost starts looking forward, and then as we roll the shoulder, it just angles off a little bit. If you've been doing that one for a bit longer, then just maybe having a pause there. You've just joined us, just have a few more rounds, just take your time. In a minute, we're going to do it in the opposite direction, which may well feel clunky and awkward. Who knows? We'll give it a go. So this time, the shoulders are going to move forward in space. Again, we'll do one at a time. And especially for those of us who are sitting up, won't be so applicable if you're lying down because your spine is in one position. But again, if you're sitting in your chair, as you roll the shoulders forward, you can let your upper spine just turn a little bit rather than having it really stationary and your shoulders moving independently. You can let your spine just move a little bit, little turn. So each shoulder blade kind of, when you move one shoulder forward, that shoulder blade is sort of wrapping around towards the front a little bit, spreading a little bit wider. Again, we might feel clunky. That's okay. Just work with whatever we've got in the tank today. Really nice. And then just maybe one or two more. Don't worry about how many you're doing. Just kind of come to a natural pause when you've done a few forward and you've done a few back. And then just see what your body wants to do as you take a pause. It might be just that you want to be still, or it might be that your body is ready to just sort of reset itself or move around a little bit. I'll demonstrate our next little flow with our arms and our shoulders and then have a little watch and then we'll do it together. So the movement's going to be the same whether we're sitting up or whether we're lying down. We're going to bring our arms in front of us with our hands either interlaced, or you could just sort of clap the palms together, sort of sandwich them here. Doesn't really matter. And I'm going to keep my elbows nice and bent because it feels way more comfortable for me. And then the hands starting just in front of the chest or just above the chest if you're lying on your back. And then we're just going to lift them. And that might be a little lift. We don't necessarily need to yank them all the way over our head, but we're going to lift and lower. So with a nice bend at the elbow, it's almost, you can imagine like giving somebody a hug and like clasping your hands behind them rather than a super straight arm. And I only say that because with that really straight arm, what it does is bring our shoulders closer together, and actually our range of movement might be less and it might all feel a bit tighter and more squished. So just nice bent arms, just sort of letting the hands float up any amount and then down. You can sync with your breath if you want to. Maybe as you breathe in, your hands gently float upwards or float. If you're on your back, they're starting upwards and they're just floating sort of in the direction of your head a little bit. Beautiful. Really nice, everyone. And so in that position, we've sort of created a bit more space in the back between our shoulder blades. So we've sort of, you imagine that my hands are your shoulder blades. As we've taken the arms forward, we've sort of just spread them a bit wider with a bit more space in between. You can rest your arms because in that position, it's going to feel they might get tired quite quickly. So give them a little rest. And maybe just you want to shake the arms if they do feel a bit like, oh, they were working a little bit. You might just want to give the shoulders a shrug or the hands a shake. Nice. And then our second movement, we're going to sort of almost do the opposite movement. So where we've created a bit more space along the upper back and the back of the shoulders, this time we're going to just gently retract our shoulder blades. So shoulder blades are going to go from their neutral position. If you can imagine that my hands are shoulders, shoulder blades are then going to sort of pull closer together. We're not going to squeeze them really fiercely, but we're just going to do a movement with the arms that moves them closer together a little bit. And again, if you're on your back, it'll be the same movement, but the hands they'll be facing upwards rather than facing in front of us. So hands are just going to come out from the shoulders, sort of forearms length, or you can stretch them out longer if you want to. I like to keep my elbows nice and close to my body. It feels a bit easier for my arms. And then we're just going to draw our hands back towards our chest or towards the front of the shoulders. And then we're just going to take them forward. You can rest them down in between if you want to, or you can keep them there. It's almost like you would imagining you're doing like a push-up, but sitting up or in the air or on your back. So we don't need to get the hands sort of coming behind the shoulders. We don't need to squeeze really intensely, but just that movement, just a press and then a drawing back. And if you have got your back on the bed or on the mattress, it will feel a little bit different because you won't have quite as much sort of ability with something underneath your shoulders for the shoulder blades to move towards each other quite as much. But that's okay. We're just kind of working with where we are. What we're also getting is just a little bit of an opening through the front of that chest. Nice, everyone. Have a little rest there in a minute when you're ready. Nice. And again, give your shoulders that nice opportunity to wiggle. Beautiful. Okay. What we're going to do is just bring a little bit of sort of rotation for our spine. Well, a little bit of, no, we're not rotating. We're not rotating our spine. We're going to move in a circular motion, but we're going to just let our spine move to the side and then forward and then potentially slightly into this position. So we're working with flexion, extension, and lateral bending. So just bending to the side. And I'll show you an option for lying down because this will look a little bit different and depending on whether we're upright or horizontal. So if we're upright in our chair, we can keep the arms relaxed, or you can bring them sort of cross your hands onto the shoulders or chest if you like. We're going to take our spine, our upper torso, in a little bit of a circle. So we're going to slightly bend off to one side and then let the spine fold forward just a little bit. We don't need to drop the head. You can keep your gaze a little lifted And then you're going to kind of continue moving around through that side bend on the other side. And then as you get to the top of that circle, you might just want to gently lift your chest slightly upwards and tilt your pelvis back a little bit. So we're going side, down, side, and then up. So that's our option one. If we're lying down, obviously that's a bit of a tricky movement to do from a lying down position. So if you're lying down, have your hands by your side. We're gonna, if you imagine I was lying down, if it doesn't make sense, Claire, tell me and I'll get on the floor and show you actually lying down. Hands by your side, legs bent or straight. You're going to just reach your fingers as though you were trying to reach your left heel. So you're going to get that side bend in that position. And you're going to come up. And then if you want to sort of find that little bit of rounding in the back, you can draw 1 or 2 knees in towards your chest. Sort of picking your feet up off the mattress and drawing the knees in. And then you're going to take that side bend to the opposite side, reaching the right fingers like they're trying to tickle your right heel. So you're getting that side bending.
Yeah, it's nice. Good stretch.
Gorgeous. Perfect. And with those of us that are moving in circles, go really slow, because what I don't want is anyone feeling dizzy or dizzier. And actually, if you find that that circle is making you feel dizzy, even if it's slow, then we could do a version of that sitting up. We could go side bend. As we come up, we could bring one knee just in towards the chest slightly. Or you could even just keep both legs where they are and take a gentle fold forward. And we could take it reaching down to the opposite side. So you kind of just make it your own. It doesn't really matter if we're all doing something slightly different. That's the beauty of these classes. There might be just one way that just works better for us today, and we can stick with that. You might kind of try a couple of those different variations and see which feels good. You can, if you find one particular shape that feels really nice for you, you could always be there a little bit longer. You don't necessarily have to move on straight away. And remembering just to take that moment to pause and stop whenever you want to. Nice, everyone. So you can always come back to any of these movements. If we do something different in a minute that doesn't quite feel so good, you can always sort of use these previous ones to come back to if there was anything that felt really lovely. We are sort of mostly focusing on this section of the body today. We did this morning too. It just must be where my brain is at. This time we're gonna again add a little bit of twisting and a little bit of reaching. So this movement again will be pretty similar whether we're sitting or lying down. And we're going to start with our right hand, if it feels okay. If not, don't worry about it. You can keep it down here at the center of your chest. And then we're going to reach across. Now, if you're lying down, actually, you could maybe spread that left arm out like a capital T. We don't want to do that if we're sitting up because the arm's going to ache like crazy. And we're going to take the right hand and just reach it across the chest, moving in the left direction. And you're going to let yourself turn a little bit. So if you're laying down, you might end up sort of reaching towards your left hand with your right arm. And then we're going to come back very slowly. And then we're going to switch. So we're going to slide that left hand across the chest. And then when it can't reach any further, your body will start to turn a little bit. We're going to let it turn. We're getting that nice sort of juicy spine movement. And if you're on your back, what that will feel a bit like is that you'll reach across the chest And then there'll be a point where that right shoulder ends up just maybe lifting off the floor a little bit. Again, the spine isn't going to twist as much in this position, but this can still be really lovely for that upper back and shoulder area. And of course, if you had the room and you wanted to do a roll all the way onto your side and then roll all the way back, you could do that too. And if you're finding that reaching your arm kind of right towards that left side feels tricky, or you just want to explore something different, what you could do is start taking your hands not across your chest, but almost like off to like a 2 o'clock position or a 10 o'clock position, depending on what side we're working with. So you can reach more sort of forward and off to the side rather than just to the side. Again, just aware of the upper back, the shoulders, the back of our rib cage. These kind of nice sort of stretchy, reachy movements are really nice for the fascia that sits on top of the muscles in the upper back. So that connective tissue. So in a minute, we're going to just do a little breathing exercise just to see if we can get a bit more space around this area of the body. Lovely, everyone. So no rush, but maybe pause that one there. If you need a drink, perhaps I'm going to have a drink of water. I'm really disappointed. I had these like metal cube ice cubes that are like, they're obviously safe metal. They're not just random. They are supposed to be ice cubes, but they're obviously like without, because we're just getting through. We've only got a little freezer. And I could get through ice in the tray like crazy at the minute. So I bought these like silver ones, like so you don't have to keep refilling the water, but they just don't work as well. My drink's just not very cold. Very disappointing. Lovely. Okay. So just have a little, let your shoulders lift a little up towards your ears or just off your bed if you're laying down. Just lift them gently and then sort of wriggle them back down. Lift them gently, maybe inhaling and then letting them rest back down. Now, if you want to, you could bring your hands to the sides of your ribs. You don't have to, it's just an option. And we're just going to sort of come to the breath a minute. So let the body not need to do any moving for a minute. And as we breathe, we're just going to try and breathe into the rib cage. Now, when I say that, and you think, of course I'm breathing into the rib cage. We're going to aim and just see if we can find a bit of movement of the ribs out to the side. What tends to happen, not with everyone, but with lots of people, me included, my ribs have got lots of movement forward when I breathe. I breathe in and everything goes forward. And we've got sometimes quite a lot less movement in the sides. So in those sort of those intercostal muscles that help the ribs expand and retract. So the hands on the body can just help. Sometimes if you feel a movement, it can be sort of helpful, thinking I'm going to try and breathe into my hands. So thinking of the breath a little bit more like it's 360 degrees around. So you could sort of take it to the sides and towards the back rather than just into the front. It's not a test if you don't feel any movement, which actually, honestly, hands up, I don't feel much movement in the sides at all unless I really practice it and really concentrate. That's no issue. But we're just trying to practice sort of using that whole space a little bit more to bring lots of lovely breath in. So just seeing how that feels. And you can let that go whenever you're ready. You can stick with it and do a few more rounds of breathing. It's up to you. We're going to breathe in, and just if you're sitting, just as you breathe in, just think about sitting up a little bit taller if you can. Shoulders still relaxed, but just the top of the head almost being drawn up towards the ceiling. As we exhale, we're going to just allow a gentle spinal twist. So seated people, we're just going to gently spin off to the left. The arms can come with you and then settle on the legs, maybe the side of your chair. If you're on your back, we can keep the arms out at that nice T shape. With bent knees, just allow the knees to gently move to the left. And take maybe 1 or 2 breaths into that twist as best you can. It's always going to feel a bit harder to breathe deeply when we're twisting through the spine, because everything that we breathe into suddenly is a little bit squished. And then we're going to come back to the center. Nice and slow. Try and just control that transition out of your twist back to face the front or come back to neutral lying position. And then again, we're going to breathe in. You're sitting, maybe lengthen through your spine a little bit. And as you exhale, finding that twist. Taking your arms over the body towards the right, maybe left hand on the right leg. Maybe right hand just comes to the hip or the back of your chair. If you're on your back, allowing the knees, the bent knees, to fall gently towards the right. Just a reminder that they don't have to go all the way to the right. They can just drop gently over to the side. Trying to let the next breath in and out be smooth and steady. And again, just coming back to the center with control and gentleness, trying not to sort of ping yourself back to the middle. Lovely. And then let's just allow the body a little bit of a sort of passive fold forward. Or we're going to bring the knees in towards our chest if we're lying down. I'm just going to creep my hands in this chair position, down my legs a little bit, so that I lean a bit of weight into the front of my, or the more into the front of my pelvis. But my bum is still firmly on the chair. Just don't want anyone to tip too far forward and feel unstable. I quite like then just to rest my elbows on my thighs, but you might be resting your hands on your thighs, or your hands might drop a little bit lower. And then I sometimes just like a little wriggle there. And the lying down variation of this would just to sort of let as you draw your knees in towards your chest, let yourself rock a little bit, or maybe circle the knees a little. Trying to just let that lower back and the back of the hips just get a little bit of space without straining or without needing to reach all the way to the ground or tuck yourself into a really tight little ball. When you're ready to release your feet or roll back up, take a nice deep breath in and exhale, and just let your body kind of slowly return, either rolling up your spine or gently landing your feet back down to the ground or the bed, and just letting the body soften. We're just going to take a short and sweet relaxation. So if you want to shift the position that you're in, if you'd prefer, even if you've been in your chair for this section, even if you want to move now to lay down somewhere, or you want to add in anything, any cushions or extra bits to help you feel a bit more comfy, you can. You can close your eyes down, or you can keep them open with a soft gaze. I'm going to leave that up to you as per. And then just sort of playing with the position of our hands, and just curiosity. If you are feeling maybe like ungrounded, if you're feeling maybe that you're sort of up in the air, or there's anxiety, or there is feelings of unsettledness, all those sorts of things that can sort of throw us off and leave us feeling a bit untethered, I'm going to encourage you to plant your palms downwards, either on the body itself, or of course if you're lying down you might put them palm down on your bed or your floor. If that's not what you're needing today, and if you're feeling a little bit more kind of open and you feel stable and secure, you might turn your palms outwards. So maybe turning them up towards the sky or the ceiling. Fingers and palms nice and relaxed, but definitely open. We're just going to let the breath do its thing. So don't worry about controlling it or doing anything fancy with it. But what we might visualize or imagine just for the next minute or so is with each breath out, the invitation is there to imagine that the breath was leaving the body. If you're laying on your back, imagine the breath leaving your body through the back of your spine and sort of breathing out into the mattress or the floor. For those of us in our chair, we're going to imagine that the back of the hips, the glutes and the tops of the back of the legs, as we exhale, those areas of the body are being breathed out into the chair, so can really give your weight to whatever's underneath you. And there's nothing that you have to do physically. The only thing that you might find is that as we're here for a little minute or two, as you breathe out, you might find tiny little places that you thought you'd properly relaxed, but that might be able to let go just a 1% more. Or maybe it's just that the position that you first landed in isn't quite the position that your body needs now, and those releasing exhales just help you jig or reset your body's position to somewhere more comfortable. So by focusing on our connection to the ground, and even if we're in a chair, I'm going to use the chair as, as just as much the ground as the floor or the ground would be. Really allowing yourself to be rooted. Promoting that sense of perhaps security, a safety, that feeling of accepting that this is where we are at this moment and there's nothing we need to do to change ourselves. If you like to end your session by thinking of something or someone or a moment that you can be grateful for, you might just start to bring that in. Imagine it, maybe picture it in your mind, or maybe even be curious about where that sense of gratitude might live in your body. Is it a feeling that you get in your stomach? So you feel it in your chest? And it can be anything at all. It could be something so tiny or something big. Just welcoming that little bit of gratitude in if you so wish. Something to take with us. We're going to take a full breath in and out together just to end. And this might be a slightly deeper breath. You might want to let the exhale out with a big sigh. You might want to be ready to yawn and stretch and do whatever you need to do. Whenever you're ready, taking an inhale through your nose if you can, but through your mouth if you need to. And when you are ready, letting that breath go. out through the nose or out through your mouth. And if the eyes have been closed, maybe this is the point where you just gently start to open. Not to blink and let the vision clear. Oh, thank you everyone for being here, especially in the hot weather, especially on a Friday evening.